Hi, I'm Pav.
And I'm Neil.
And welcome to the Top 10 of Anything podcast.
Let's start the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay then, Claire, kick us off with your number 10.
You may not even know who he is. Sealy Booth.
Sealy Booth. Okay, so please explain.
If anybody out there has ever seen the TV show Bones, pretty much all of mine are TV based, by the way. Bones was one of my favourite programmes years ago when it started. And Sealy Booth plays the kind of detective FBI person, whatever, teams up with the lovely Emily Deschanel, who is Bones, who is she's not an anthropologist. What are they called? Studies bones. Okay. Whatever that's called. And anyway, they're just this crime-fighting duo. I think it ran for like 10 seasons. And it was just American drama at its best and worst. And Sealy comes in for me at number 10 because he's absolutely beautiful.
Is that the guy who played Angel?
Yes. What's his... I should be more prepared with this. David Boreanaz.
Yes.
Boreanaz, yeah.
My wife loved that show. She had all of them on DVD.
And Bones was it was really clever because then there was this will they, won't they with Bones and Booth. And so he's in at my number 10 because he was just also dreamy and fired a gun and would keep you safe.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Wasn't she always like, she's like just in a mood all the time, or just didn't seem
she was very intelligent, so she seemed a bit weird in the way that she spoke and how she kind of gave out her emotions, but that's just because she was off the chart genius. But that's where they worked so well, because Booth kind of spoke to her emotional side, which she needed to learn to bring out.
Okay. And was that Zoe's sister?
Yes, from New Girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I've never watched it, and I believe Stephen Fry was in it, wasn't he?
Stephen Fry turned up a number of times, and also the dude, long beard, from the band, I want to say ZZ Top. I don't think it is, the musician. Anyway, I would say probably the first 3, 4, 5, you get up to about season 6, and there's some tense, scary moments. It was a really well-written show because it was based on books, and the author of the books had a hand into the TV show. So I would, if nobody's seen it and you want to binge a show, I'd highly recommend Bones.
Okay,
fair enough. Go on then, Neil, you're number 10.
So it's Morgan Freeman as Somerset in Seven. Took me a while to think of this one because, where to put him, but I have put him at number 10. But he's a character that I would have loved to have seen more of. When you see him in the movie, he's like your comfort, isn't he? He's the guy that you think he's all right to be with.
But he's the guy that's seen it all and done it all. He's the end of his career, isn't he?
Weather detective. But I would have liked to. It's certainly ripe to bring him back, whether it be a prequel, his earlier years, or even his later years. I just think he's a character that we could definitely see more of because I find him mesmerising in the role. Have you seen Seven, Claire?
I'm too much of a scaredy cat.
I wouldn't even say it's a horror movie.
It's sort of a bit of a psychological thriller, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm films and storylines, and they stick in my head. I will go to bed thinking about that film probably for a very, very long time. So I remember my sister seeing it, and she told me how amazing it was, but then also told me lots of stuff that you see, and I was just like, I don't know if that's...
Yeah,
do you know the story of it? Do you know what the story is? And
yeah. So I'm a bit like... Oh.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
It is an absolutely fantastic movie, yeah. But if you could stomach it, I'd highly recommend watching it.
Okay, all right.
What's in the bags? Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that'll stay with you forever. That
absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, my number 10. I think you're too young for this, Claire. This one is Eddie Shoestring.
Christ, there's a blast from the past.
That is a blast from the past. Sunday night, Eddie Shoestring, or Shoestring was the name of the show. Trevor Eve, who was a private detective. I can't remember whereabouts.
Oh my God,
Jersey,
Trevor Eve.
No, not Jersey. That was Bergerac, wasn't it?
That was Bergerac. Yeah, Trevor Eve. Yeah,
wasn't he in Silent Witness?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Trevor Reeves, great.
Yeah, and Shoestring was one of those programs when you were a kid, a bit like That's Life, that when it came to Sunday, you would keep asking your mum and dad questions so that they wouldn't say to you, right, time for bed, you got school in the morning. And you knew as soon as if the show started, you were safe and you could watch the show. So Shoestring was one of those shows. The only one I can remember was a Christmas episode, and it was a racetrack. I think it was a racetrack, and it would overheat and then it would blow up. And Shoestring had to go around trying to find like these 5 racetracks that had been sold, and it was a race against time. He had to get, and this was doing this like Christmas Eve. And I can remember that there was one left that he had to find, and this kid crept down on Christmas Eve and opened up his presents and plugged it all in, and Shoestring, spoilers, Shoestring managed to get in there and turn the power off just before the boy was going to turn it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I mean, I've never watched it back, so I'm pretty sure it doesn't hold up, but that was 70s, I think, wasn't it, Shoestring?
It was, yeah, late 70s, maybe early 80s. Maybe.
With a great with a great theme tune that I can't remember, but I just remember that it was like, bow, bow, bow. No, I don't know. I don't know why I did that.
Down.
That sounded more like a porn film, didn't it? So I've been told. Yeah, so I've been told. I wouldn't know. Right, go on then, Kim. You're number 9.
Okay, number 9 for me is Jack and Vera Duckworth.
Jack and Vera.
What a great choice.
I mean, as a kid, obviously, every time you watched Corrie, it kind of felt to me growing up like that's what married couples are like. Jack and Vera.
Yeah.
Jack with his pigeons, Vera whinging and all that. So really not much has changed.
They used to have some good couples in Corrie, didn't they?
Yeah.
Hilda and Stan Ogden was another one.
Yeah.
It was Ken and Deirdre Barlow. Oh
I know. Yeah. It just feels to me like soaps have moved on, but not like that, if you know what I mean. They don't have the same sort of connections these days as they did back then.
I don't think they don't have lovable characters anymore, do they? I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen a soap opera. Yeah. I must admit. And I used to be into EastEnders when it first started, but then once you saw that they just start after like a 3-year cycle, they just recycle the storylines with different people, or somebody old comes back. Yeah. But Coronation Street, I think, had the most sort of lovable characters, definitely.
It always had the more humour to the soap as well, didn't it, Corrie? When I watched EastEnders, same as Pab, but Lofty was still in it when I last watched EastEnders.
Wow.
That's how long ago. It was always doom and gloom, isn't it? I suppose it still is. Also, didn't Jack Duckworth, what was his real name? Bill
Tommy.
He was a singer as well.
Yeah, he got quite a decent recording contract, didn't he? And released some albums.
Yeah.
Are they? I know he died. Is she still with us?
No, I don't think so. No.
It's funny because it came up on my YouTube timeline a couple of weeks ago. Was the scene where Jack gets found like he's dead in his seat, he's dead in his armchair, and I'd never seen it before, and I thought, Christ, that's a bit, oh my God, that's quite shocking.
Was he rotting?
He was like this puddle of like northern muck. Oh, that sounds horrible. I apologise.
Some of the northern listeners.
I apologise, northern listeners. I didn't mean he was northern muck. I meant that like he would have like corroded into his seat, and I apologise. I might cut that bit out. Go on then, Neil, you're number 9. Let's move on.
So it's a comedy duo. It's the two Ronnies.
That's my number 5.
So what's not to love about these two? It took me a while to appreciate Ronnie Corbett more than Ronnie Barker. I think he was the more accessible when you were younger. But watching some of the reruns back, those stories, those armchair jokes that Ronnie Corbett told are superb. I mean, I didn't appreciate them when I was younger. I used to find that bit a bit boring and just think, But they were superb, and the sketches were just so funny, and they still hold up now. They really do hold up well, and yeah, and of course Ronnie Barker wrote most of it, didn't he? Under a pseudonym, whatever it was. But yeah, the Phantom Raspberry Blower of Old London Town was a classic. Yeah. I tell you what, the other bit I appreciate more watching them again recently is the songs. They always finished with. They're a lot funnier than I remember them being. Very clever wordplay. Very clever.
You were too Ronnie's fan? Kim?
Not so much. I don't remember a whole lot of watching them when I was younger, but now I've seen sort of reruns of what's the shop one?
Open All Hours.
Yeah, I mean, I loved him in that. Also, Sorry.
That's
Ronnie
right.
Corbett. Yeah. That was quite funny. I loved the character that he played in that, but not so much together, I have to say. But again, that could be just because I wasn't brought up with it. So
yeah, it was always one of the staple things to watch at Christmas, wasn't it? Along with another duo that I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later on. But I'll tell you the one thing that sort of stopped me from watching them a little bit, and like a lot of things, it was not the 9 o'clock news. Now, not the 9 o'clock news did a piss take of the two Ronnies. I don't know if you can remember that. It was Griff Rhys-Jones and Mel Smith. Yeah. And they were singing a song that we're titting up and down on the willy bum bum.
That's right, yeah.
And it was like perfect. And I think I read something where Ronnie Barker was really offended by that song.
Right.
Because he thought, oh my God, is this what people think of us? Do people just think that all we do is it's all about piss pronouncing our worms and stuff, you know? And he apparently was really hurt by that song and didn't like the fact that they were taking the mickey out of that. But I thought that was some of the stuff. But it was weird how that turned me off of them for a little bit. But I think they did a retrospective thing, didn't they, where they were both back in the studio and looking.
That's right, they did.
Looking back, yeah,
just before episodes. Ronnie Barker passed.
And there is some fantastic. I mean, the Four Candles sketch is just
obviously classic. The Mastermind,
classic.
The Mastermind, one of the greatest things ever written.
Wordplay,
and so many great things, and so many. Like I say, Ronnie Barker doing his bits on his own. I was the same as you, Neil. As soon as like the armchair stuff with Ronnie Corbett came on, I was a little bit, oh God, this is a bit boring. But you look back on them now, beautifully written jokes.
Yeah, very funny. You know, and the way he went off on a tangent and came back to the story was fantastic.
Yeah. It's just that when you watch them, they do look very 70s, don't they? That's the thing, which is weird because that's when they came from, was the 70s. There you go. Okay, so my number 9, they were more an audio thing, but they did appear on TV as Derek and Clive. And I think I think it's the first time I heard the C word was listening to Derek and Clive.
Well, that's a famous one, isn't it?
When I was about, like, I don't know how old, I was probably 8 or 9, and I thought, this is so not, I shouldn't be listening to this because it is like terrible. And again, I'll put it on the video playlist for our Patreoners, but it's about as filthy as you can get, I think.
It is. I mean, it probably isn't shocking today, but back then it was. We were exchanging the tape at school.
Oh my God!
About the first or second year at secondary school, everybody was having a go at listening to the tape.
Exactly, and it was that thing. It made you feel like you were an adult. Because you were hearing these two guys like arguing with each other and you fucking cag and all that stuff. And it was just like sometimes there wasn't even any point to their stories. It was just two guys chatting. It's Dudley Moore and Peter Cook. That's who Derek and Clive were.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can remember watching it or listening to that the first time. And they were on the TV, weren't they, Neil? I'm sure.
They were, obviously. I mean, Dudley Cook and
Dudley Cook and Peter Moore.
Peter Moore had their own TV show, didn't they? And they did Derek and Clive on there.
That's right.
But obviously not the explicit version.
Not the explicit version.
You had to wait until they were drunk and in a studio doing that.
Yeah, and they would get quite irate with each other as well. And some of it didn't sound like it was acting. Some of it sounded like they were, especially Peter Cook.
Yeah, they were probably both so pissed, weren't they? But also, They corpsed all the time.
All the time,
didn't they?
Yeah. So I will put that in the video playlist if you haven't ever seen it. But it's an education. I'll give you that. It's definitely an education.
I mean, I find it quite funny still, but
I do.
Some people I know don't. People I know really don't find it funny. They're like, what?
No, but it's a lot of swearing, and it's a lot of like grade A swearing as well. So just be warned. Kirsten, your number 8, please.
This one again, I had to figure out where I wanted to put this one. It was the bar scene from Inglourious Bastards. And it was at the time I remember watching it and not understanding how when they were doing the holding up the fingers, because I'm American, so I didn't know. Anyway, I'm like, what? He said 3. And it's just that whole building of the tension and the way that, like, when he's holding up his fingers the wrong way, the other characters are like giving him this look. You're like, oh my God, what did he do? And then just all of a sudden, the guns are being pulled, and that whole scene, that was really good. I mean, there were lots of other ones in that, but that one really got me.
I agree. Again, that was very close. I thought I had that in my top 10, but I know I haven't.
So did I. I just had to look at my list and thought,
I haven't. And it reminded me, the first time I watched it reminds me of oh God, what's the war movie? What's the famous war movie? The Great Escape.
Oh, yes.
When you have Richard Attenborough and Gordon Jackson, and they've practiced to always speak German when they've got out of the prison camp, and then one of the German officers says something like "Thank you very much," and they go, "Oh, thank you," and they get caught because they didn't carry on talking German. They spoke English, and that same thing of like not knowing how to do 3. I think it was, wasn't it? Doing it either 3 like that or 3 like
this or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, just a simple thing that they should have known, but it pretty much kills everybody in the room. And again, it goes from being like this nice, where they're all playing a nice simple game, to just being this like just massive shootout, which I think.
Of course, we forget Michael Fassbender's in that bit.
Indeed,
isn't it? We forget that he's in there.
Yeah,
there's a lot. Brad Pitt, Michael Fassbender. There's a lot of great people in that one.
Yeah, Michael Myers. Is it?
Yeah. Myers. I forgot the kid from The Office, BJ Novak.
That's right.
He was in it. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yes, yes. And Eli Roth as well, wasn't he? He's the I can't remember what he called, the bear or something.
The bear with the one with the baseball bat.
Baseball bat, yeah, great one. Go on then, Neil. You're number 8.
So it's another dialogue-driven scene, and it is the diner scene. Like a virgin, I don't tip. That whole bit, they're sat around the table having the conversation. So this is where I was saying, this is where I don't think we'd seen anything like this before on the screen. I mean, you can't even say Kevin Smith was after this as well with his dialogue. So to me, this was where dialogue brought movies into the real life. It's conversations that everyday people would have, if you know what I mean. And it's bloody funny. That whole bit when he sat there going, Chang. And and Harvey Keitel has to say. But anyway, just that whole scene is funny. What do you mean you don't tip? So, and I think Steve Buscemi in Reservoir Dogs is superb. That man, he could act, couldn't he? As well as being a hero,
yes,
firefighter. But yeah,
he was a teacher too.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Wow. And
we don't seem to see enough of him now, do we?
No. He did a series on HBO, but I hadn't seen anything since then.
Oh yeah, he did that Boardwalk Empire, didn't he?
Boardwalk Empire, yeah.
He did. Did either of you see that series with Louis C.K. that he did? Oh God, Horace and Pete. It was a strange series. It was done like a one set play. It was set in a bar, and they were 2 brothers that owned this bar, and it was at the point, I think, before the whole controversy with Louis C.K., where he could do what he wanted. They sort of said to him, "Look, make what you want," and I think he was selling it on his website. So you could pay what you wanted for it. And it ended up going up on I think it was on Amazon or something like that. And it was sort of comedy, but it was very dark comedy, but it was also it was really disturbing in places, like really, really about mental health and alcoholism. Alan Alda was in it as well, played their uncle.
Oh, wow.
And it was really good. But like I won't spoil this because in case you get to see it, but the ending was like devastating, absolutely devastating. But like 1 minute you'd be laughing your head off, next minute you'd be crying your eyes out. But it's Horace and Pete. It was really, really strange. Never seen anything like it before, but there you go. Okay, so your number 8 was from Reservoir Dogs, Neil. My number 8 is Reservoir Dogs. You've done the start of the movie. I've done the end of the movie, the Mexican standoff at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Where right to the end, Harvey Keitel is in Tim Roth's corner and saying, you're wrong. He's a good kid. And they have the Mexican standoff. And even now, you still have to slow it down to see who exactly shot who and how that sort of worked and how that standard. And then it's the fact that Harvey Keitel is so good.
It's so cool.
But it's the fact when he's holding Tim Roth and Tim Roth tells him that he is a cop, that he breaks down and he realizes that you know he backed the wrong horse basically, and the cops come in and say, look, put the gun down, and he shoots him and everything all just fades to black. But
a great scene. Harvey Keitel went through a real good spell, didn't he, in the early 90s and
especially in Quentin Tarantino's movies, especially right?
Over the Wall. But then he went, I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea and it's a hard watch, but The Bad Lieutenant or The Bad Lieutenant, however you want to pronounce it, I think his performance in that is just mesmerizing. I mean, it's uncomfortable viewing. Then he did The Piano. Do you remember with Holly Hunter and everybody? He had a real resurgence again. I love Keitel. I think he's a great actor.
And then he did a load of adverts, commercials in the UK as Mr. Wolf, didn't he?
He did, direct.
Did he?
Yeah, for insurance, for an insurance company. Yeah. I thought, my God, I mean, he's obviously getting paid well, and he's using that money for whatever he's using that money for. But all of a sudden, like Mr. Wolf would turn up. And
what was the last thing he was in? Probably The Irishman, wasn't it? I haven't seen him in anything since he was in The Irishman, and he wasn't in that very much.
I mean, if only there was some kind of way we could find out.
Yeah, he's one of those actors that I could happily watch all day long. I find him mesmerizing to watch.
A Righteous Man in 2021 was.
Oh, okay.
I've not heard of that. He's got 10 upcoming projects, so
he's working. We just haven't seen it.
He's busy. He's going to be in the new National Treasure TV series.
Oh yeah, I read about that. He's playing the same role again, isn't he?
Oh, is he? Yeah. All right, yeah. Peter Sadowski. There you go. God bless IMDb.
Yes, I love IMDb.
That's what it's there for. Yeah. That's what it's there for. Okay, Donald, your number 7 then, please.
My number 7, Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Right. Yeah, so this is one, I'm not a massive fan of this one, I have to admit.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a long time since I've only ever seen it. I think once. There you go, Phil Dead. I've only seen it once.
Yeah. So why is it your number 7 then, Donald?
Oh, just Gary Eels. I've always loved his acting, from Princess Bride to that to Hot Shots.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's just the ways that it pokes fun at Prince of Thieves without actually calling out Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
Like the one line, I can actually speak with an English accent, unlike some other Robin Hoods.
He is a true. I always feel that, like, I don't know how, is it Carrie Elwes? I don't know how you say his name. He feels to me like he was born out of time. He should have been a 40s, 50s movie star. He was somebody that had the looks of somebody that was like a Errol Flynn or Cary Grant, that kind of, I don't think he ever seemed to be a bigger star as he should have been. I don't know whether anybody else feels.
No, I agree. Because he's sort of, I don't know what he's done recently, but he went into Saw, didn't he? He did Saw. And I know he's on TV in some bits and bobs, but yeah, I agree with you, Pav. He deserved more fame than he probably has, if you know what I mean. More recognition, I think is the word.
But then you got to say, I mean, Princess Bride, he's sort of like he's a cult hero, would you say, because of Princess Bride? But yeah. I was just looking to see.
Yeah,
I was just looking to see, and I didn't realize he's actually English, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's so good at doing American accents that you think that he's American, but. I was just going to look and see if he's...
So Men in Tights, tell me again who else is in it apart from... Who was the female lead?
This was the first movie Dave Chappelle ever did.
Right.
Wow.
What's his...
Let's see. So you got Amy Yasbeck as Marion.
Yeah.
Richard Lewis as Prince John.
Oh, okay.
Roger Rees as Sheriff of Nottingham. Dave Chappelle, Isaac Hayes.
Yeah, as his father there. Yeah.
Tracy Ullman was in it. As Latrine. Patrick Stewart was King Richard. Dom DeLuise as Don Giovanni. Mel Brooks as Rabbi Tuckman.
Mm-hmm.
And just other bits and pieces. But yeah,
one other thing I'll say though. There's so many actual callbacks to previous Mel Brooks movies in this.
Right.
Because at the end, when he makes Achu the sheriff, they're like, a black sheriff? It worked in Blazing Saddles?
I feel I should give this movie another...
it must be on one of the streaming devices, sure.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But here's one that probably not a lot of kids would get, but when they, at the wedding scene, as the Abbott's coming out, and the one guy is like, "Hey, Abbott!"
Okay, that's a good one. Produced and directed by Mel. I was going to say Mel Gibson. Then that's not right at all. That wouldn't be the right one.
Although I would like to see a Mel Gibson direct a parody movie, maybe of The Passion of the Christ. Do his own parody of it.
His own parody of it. That would be fun. Go on then, Neil. You're number 7.
My number 7 is Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That's my number 5.
That's my number 4.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, if you haven't seen it, well, us three obviously have, but anybody listening to this has never seen it. Where have you been for the last 40, 50 years? It's a great movie, isn't it? It's I actually love the documentary about this as much as watching the movie. When you find how difficult it was for them to film, and it was all them rock star mates that bailed them out. Jimmy Page and Robert Plant and all of those lot ended up financing it. Right from I could listen to the soundtrack to this movie, which I have got in my car, along with the other Python movies. Works just as well as an audio.
I bought it on Audible.
It works just as well as like you said, an Audible or a easy listening. I just think it's great. We could sit here all day and quote it, couldn't we?
Yes.
None shall pass.
Yeah, I had the written screenplay. It was all in different. Yeah, it was all in different colours, and there was like annotated. Is that right? Annotated, like little scribbles and that they like recreated of what changed in the script and stuff. Again, for like bang for your buck, laughs. But again, it's one of those movies you've got to watch the around the players that are talking, because there's stuff going on everywhere. You've always got to be looking because there's something going, and they're so clever with their writing.
Yeah, but they always were, weren't they?
They always were. They always were.
They're just geniuses. I think one of almost like not many of a kind, is it? There's not many people that can get away and do that sort of humour. And we don't seem to have that sort of people around at the moment, to me, that are able to transpire that sort of humour. But she turned me into a newt.
But that's the thing, they would craft wouldn't they? They would craft a joke. It wouldn't just be punchlines. The thing is that their jokes have become punchlines now, haven't they? They become catchphrases.
Yeah.
But they would craft a joke, and they wouldn't necessarily go for the obvious joke. And they'd sometimes put words in that I wouldn't know because they're all from university and stuff. I wouldn't understand some of the words that they meant, but in the context of what they're saying, you'd understand the joke, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Graham Chapman doesn't. Oh, sorry, Donald. Say it again.
Some of the strangest insults too.
Yes.
Your father was a hipster and you felt of elderberry.
Exactly.
I fart in your general direction.
That's right.
Which I actually have the T-shirt of that, but
have you got that?
don't tend to wear it much because people look at me and just with weirdness.
Why would you not have a T-shirt like that and not wear it?
Because, well, I do wear it, but only around that I know around people. Anyway, yeah, great thing. But of course, Graham Chapman doesn't remember any of it, does he?
Well, no, he's dead, Neil.
No. As in, he doesn't. When you read interviews, he can't remember filming any of that film. He was so drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has any of you guys seen Spamalot?
Yes, I have.
Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity.
No, I've not either. I just wonder.
I've listened to the soundtrack for it though.
Is it good, Neil? Is it good?
Yeah, very good. It's very audience. It's very Monty Python. Probably more Eric Idle style Monty Python,
right?
Obviously, because he wrote it. They do use always look on the bright side of life in it. They bring that across and things like that. But as audience participation, if you're sat, I can't remember the seat. If you're sat in it, you get picked. They pick somebody every night.
Oh, right.
To come up and do bits. Yeah. Hilarious. It's proper Monty Python on the stage with great music.
Oh, that sounds good. Excellent.
Yeah, I'd recommend if it ever does a tour again around, just treat yourself and go and see it.
Right.
Because I don't think it's on in our West End anymore.
I have no idea.
I don't think it's on Broadway anymore either.
No. Well, there is supposed to be a movie coming on, I think, of it, isn't there? I think they were going to do a movie.
I haven't heard anything for years of that, though. It was a few years ago.
I suppose COVID would have got...
I can just imagine the tagline for it. The movie, based on the movie. Based on the movie.
Exactly.
Based on the myth.
Yes.
But you'd want Eric Idle, if he was to ever do that, is to bring the remaining Pythons into the fold.
They'd have to.
They would have to.
Yeah, they would have to. Of course they would, yeah. Okay, so my number 7, I have mentioned this movie already. It's another Mel Brooks one, and it is Silent Movie. I watched this movie one Sunday night. I think I've said this on another podcast. What they did I think it was a Mel Brooks. No, it would have been a Dom DeLuise season on BBC Two one Sunday, a month and Sundays, and they had The End was the first movie with Burt Reynolds, which he plays plays a mental patient, and I laughed. There's one scene where Burt Reynolds tries to kill himself, wakes up in a mental institution, and Dom DeLuise, you think he's the doctor interviewing Burt Reynolds, but he's not. He's a mental patient, and it all goes crazy. And I laughed. I've never laughed so much in my life. And then the following week was Silent Movie, and there's a scene where Dom DeLuise is on this table and he's dancing like a Spanish guy, clicking his fingers, and slowly the table starts going down. I absolutely wet myself again, 2 weeks on the trot. But this movie is famous because it's a silent movie about Mel Brooks trying to make a silent movie. Mm-hmm. So it's got loads of famous people of the time in Burt Reynolds. There's a famous scene where he's having a shower and all of a sudden all these other hands start washing him. And it's Mel Brooks and it's Marty Feldman and Dom DeLuise, and they're all trying to get all these people into or Mel Brooks trying to get all these people into his movie. And the only word that is said in the whole movie is the famous mime artist, Marcel Marceau, when they ask, will you be in a movie? And he goes, no. And that's the only words. And it is such a funny movie. It's so good. I'm a massive fan of Dom DeLuise. He's just one of my favorite actors. But yeah, Sid Caesar, Bernadette Peters, Fritz Feld. He looks familiar. I'm not quite sure who that is. But there's so many famous people. Obviously, Burt Reynolds is. If you get a chance to watch it, I've got no idea whereabouts it is. I'm sure it must be on somewhere.
Probably find DVDs of it on Amazon,
but again, it's like Cannonball Run. It's not on any streaming services anywhere, Neil, is it? You've got to get it on like a German import.
That's what I had to do to get the Blu-ray of it. I had to get the German import.
It's crazy.
I love
it really is. It's so hard to get hold of some of these movies, but I would thoroughly recommend anybody who fancies having a laugh just to watch that.
We need to open a cinema and start showing these sort of films again.
Yes, that's what we should. Going on a bit of a tangent, I have started listening to the Tarantino podcast. Yeah. What was it called? Video Archive, and that is really good. Have you listened to it, Neil? Have you?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, and anyone who's a movie fan, some of the movies I've got no idea what they're talking about, but it makes me want to watch them. That's the thing; it makes me want to watch those movies. So, recommend that. So, Jack, your number 6, please.
My number 6. Now, for this one, he's not your typical villain, but he's got a lot of, I suppose, haters is the word. He's hated on quite a lot. LeBron James.
Okay.
So he's probably one of the most criticised athletes in the world. He had a lot of hype, which he's more than lived up to. And yeah, it's weird. He's actually, he's not done anything majorly wrong, really. The one scandal he's had is when he left his boyhood club, the Cleveland Cavaliers. He sort of made a whole TV drama about it. I think it was called Decision, and he did like a press conference, and he basically went to the Miami Heat to team up with a load of superstars, make a super team. And I think basketball's been that way ever since, like people just joining up now and ruining the competitiveness of the league. But yeah, he's not your typical villain because he hasn't got any major character flaws really, but just the amount of abuse that he gets, and people just don't like him really, probably because he's so good.
Or he starred in Space Jam 2.
Well, I mean, he doesn't help himself because he likes to be compared to Michael Jordan. He wears the same number as him.
Yeah.
And he just can't quite live up to that. And I've not seen Space Jam 2, but from what I hear, it's nowhere near as good as the original. So that's probably just another thing he's not quite managed to live up to Michael Jordan on.
But then he also moved to the Lakers as well and did exactly the same thing, where he joined with a few other sort of superstars, and I think they won the championship the first year.
They did, yeah. But again, he's not going to live up to Kobe Bryant out there. Like that's impossible.
Exactly.
So he's not a bad guy like a lot of these people on the list, but just very, I guess he gets more hate online than probably all of these people.
He was pretty good in Trainwreck though, although he did just play himself, but he was pretty good in Trainwreck.
Who starred in that?
That's Amy Schumer and
yes,
Bill
I've seen that one. Yeah.
But he just played himself, so it wasn't a massive stretch for him, I'm sure. But
yeah.
Okay then, Neil, your number 6 then, please.
So it's another footballer, I'm afraid, but it's one that Pav might join forces with me and say, actually, I agree with this. It's Paul Scholes.
Okay, why?
Because of the way he used to tackle.
Oh, right. Is that it?
Yeah. And how he never ended putting anybody in hospital.
Right, okay.
He was, he got sent off enough times. And he always did that. It used to annoy me if we ever played him. He was the one person that would score a goal when you never thought it was on and suddenly kick in and it go. But it was his tackling. I used to watch it with dread. And I used to think one day he's going to go right all the way through in that tackle and somebody's going to have a serious injury. He really didn't give a shit.
Oh no, he wasn't. He wasn't a tackler, was he?
No,
at all.
But he kept doing it though, didn't he?
Yeah.
So Paul Scholes, there you go. And it used to wound me up. It literally, that is the reason why I put him as a villain, because he really did used to wind me up watching him.
Yeah.
I lived with a Man United supporter and they could see no wrong, but it used to wind me up so badly. I'm not taking away. Even though he played for Man United, he was a good footballer. He was a great footballer, but he just had no ability to tackle.
That's fair enough. I mean, look, I've as much as I hate Manchester United, I've got no Manchester United players or anyone in my Sporting Villains top 10. Mainly because if it had been 11, I would have just put all 11 Man United players as the thing. But there's no point in doing that. Weird thing is, I've got a couple of Liverpool players in my top 10. But we'll get on to that. Yeah, Scholes was just he was a I can't say quality player because he was Man United. I can't get it out. I can't.
He was. Do not get into an argument about him with Man United fans because I think they've got him on a pedestal as crazy.
Yeah, they do. They do, Jack. And this is the problem.
Well, you know Ollie, don't you?
Yes.
So I went on his podcast and we did a top 50 players of the noughties, and he has Scholes over Zidane. So that's the kind of deludedness. Sorry, Ollie. The Man United fans have on him, but it's weird because like he never used to do interviews when he was a player, and yet now he's always on BT Sport and stuff.
Yeah, the pundit.
It's weird that he's a pundit now.
Yeah. Then to be fair, he's a bit like Roy Keane. He won't sugarcoat stuff if it's Man United. You know, he won't kiss ass the players of Man United. If he thinks that they're doing badly, he'll really put them through the ringer, which I think is really, it's interesting to hear because I always think that they're like, especially like Gary Neville and all that, they're all the sort of the class of 92 and they all stick together and it's always nice. And he's like I say, like Roy Keane. I hated Roy Keane as a player, but as a pundit, I think he's one of the top pundits because he'll say it exactly how it is. Yeah. And he doesn't give a shit if people don't like what he says. He'll just say it. And if it means it upsets a few people in the hierarchy of the club that he used to love or that he does love, so be it, you know. But still Man United. I'm sorry, Ollie, but I just can't. I love speaking to Ollie just so that I can keep playing the Aguero moment for him. Any choice that I get, there was a tweet that he put out earlier on about something, and for some, I can't remember how I did it, but I still put the Aguero moment as an answer. He didn't like me for that, but there you go. Love you, Ollie. Okay, so my number 6. Again, someone that is a legend in the sport that they were in, but a couple of moments make him a villain, and that's Mike Tyson.
Oh, that's my number 5.
He's my number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in my Sporting Heroes, and he's also in my Sporting Villains.
Exactly.
That sums up quite well for him, I think, to be in both.
I mean, there's no, for me, there's no better boxer. I think he was the total package when it came to a boxer. Just no frills, get in there, do the job, get out. But when he started losing his power, if you like, he resorted to things like biting someone's ear off, you know, and then also the stuff that he got up to out of the ring. And I think when we said on the Sporting Heroes, we said that a lot of the Sporting Heroes that I love have got that streak of badness in them, you know, that streak of rogueness in them. Sometimes it's a thing that makes you draw yourself towards them as opposed to someone like Steve Davis, if you like, who just goes there, does the job, goes home, drinks a glass of milk, goes to bed. And I don't know if he drinks a glass of milk before he goes to bed. I don't know. I've never been there. I don't know. But, you know, you could imagine that he did. But Mike Tyson was dangerous. But the trouble is he was also dangerous out of the ring as well as in the ring. So, you know, what about you guys, Jack?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's Holyfield's the one where everyone kind of remembers his in the ring stuff, but I think there's a few fights where he got disqualified for different things, and there's so many press conferences I can remember him like starting fights before, and I know it does happen, but it seemed to happen like every fight with him, and he just he probably lived up to the baddest man on the planet title that he had for a bit, really. And yeah, it's weird. I really like Mike Tyson as always, one of my favourite ever boxers, but you can't deny he's a proper villain.
He is, and like Pav said, the stuff that went on outside of the ring, there's just no justification, is it? There's nothing to say, but it was bad and wrong, and he is a villain in that sense. But I think it was from the Holyfield fight that everything went down shit creek, didn't it?
Yeah.
It really
I mean,
did.
I think it started with Buster Douglas when he lost there because he wasn't in a good place, I think, then, wasn't he?
But
that was
the
start
actual
of the decline. But
it was, and then the press got on board with the ear bite, and it just everything went really down for him. But yeah, you can't take away what a great boxer he was, but also what a great villain he is.
Anyway, Paul, you're number 5, please. Quick, let's move on.
Yeah. I'll just say that before I do, that Saturday Night Fever was in probably honourable mentions, really, because it was this really good, but I think there's other ones that will fit more.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, it was definitely mine.
Yeah, so my number 5, that was tough to pick out, well, because all 3 in the trilogy are great, but the one I have most connection to is The Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have the connection from, I think my mum took me to the cinema to see when I was young. I think it was 2001, I think.
It was, yeah.
When it came out. And I just remember, again, this whole epic fantasy coming to play out on the screen. It was it's a really long film. But I'm enjoying it all the way through. And the score just stood out to me from that. Again, Howard Shore being a great composer. And you got the things like the prologue, obviously the introduction to the backstory to everything. That's great. And then you got it goes into the Shire music and everything, all happy, nice, everything. It's I really like that to listen to, and just as it is. But then you got those really epic moments. At the top of was it Weathertop? I think is one of the bits where the ring wraiths come and get the hobbits and everything. And then that's just really just wow, it's so cool, so dramatic and everything. And even the closing song by Enya, maybe is I really like as well. I feel it's very ethereal and fits the vibe of the film. It has and everything. So just all
my favourite one of the trilogy. But the music is so fitting for the fantasy, isn't it? It sounds like it was from then. Does that
exactly?
Make sense?
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Yeah. It just fits so well with everything, all elements and everything. Just epic journey and everything. I'm all for that kind of thing in terms of video games as well. That kind of fits into that with Elden Ring and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Great one.
No,
it's that Celtic feel as well, isn't it? That I think goes along with the whole fantasy side of it, and swords and elves and.
But it's become a piece of music, like so many, like a lot of others, where as soon as you hear it, you think, "Oh, I know exactly what that's from."
Yeah,
it's become embedded, isn't it?
It'll be interesting to see with a new TV show whether the music will stand up to that, because that's.
Well, you want to hope so with the amount of bloody money they've spent on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's Amazon. See, Amazon, they've got money to burn, so you know. But I think that is intrigued, considering that they're sort of showing it so close to the start of the new Game of Thrones prequel show as well.
Yeah. I think they're doing it on purpose.
But that's a lot of new names and places and names of places to have to try and remember who they are and where they are, and I find that sort of very confusing. I know I'm very dumb, but it is like, my name's Elveron from Tinkerfon, and I'm going to Pigabong to see Dovedon, and you just think, oh my God, it's just too much. Just kill the man, for God's sake.
It sounds intriguing.
Come on, Amazon, I'm available.
Yeah.
$1 billion, and I'll
do it for half that, eh?
I'll do it half that. 15 episodes for a series.
Well, let's hope it is as strong as they said. So at the time of recording, it hasn't been released, if you're listening to this.
Right.
And at the time of recording, it's the most expensive TV series ever, isn't it?
It is. It is. Let's wait and see. Go on then, Neil. Your number 5, please.
So this has now become a musical on the West End. I've not seen the musical, but Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge.
It's the way they incorporate so many famous songs into obviously a burlesque show. Is that what we're going to call it? I love this soundtrack to this day. I love the medleys they did. The Elephant medley is superb. Ewan McGregor sings so great. We've spoken about it time and time again on this podcast, but it's still a musical soundtrack that just is great. Obviously, you've got original songs, reimagining of songs. I love the Jim Broadbent. I've grown to love it. I didn't used to like it when I first watched it. The Jim Broadbent, Like a Virgin, I find hilarious now. And it's really good. Really, really well done. I love the movie. Pav scared me from going to see it on the West End after what his daughter said. So,
I mean, look, you might enjoy it.
I might.
They obviously went in there thinking it was going to be something else, but they've changed it and added different songs.
Yeah, I will go and see it, but not while it's £100 a ticket now.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
Stick the movie on.
Yeah,
I think Ewan McGregor's fantastic in that movie, and got a great singing voice as well.
I would love to have seen him in Guys and Dolls, which he did, didn't he, in the early 2000s or mid 2000s. Apparently, he was phenomenal in that. Who knew?
Yeah, Paul?
I've only seen the film once, unfortunately. So I think there was a time where I wasn't really too into musicals, but I've kind of grown more and more to like them now. So I think it's probably very much due a rewatch, really, for that. Yeah, but I do remember the visually very pleasing film. So the soundtrack I'm a bit less familiar with, but yeah.
Baz Luhrmann, wasn't it? He's definitely got his own. He's got his own kind of style.
Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. But great movie, Paul. I would highly recommend watching it again. Just immerse yourself, because it is one of those.
Yeah. Okay, my number 5. I think this movie I've probably mentioned more than any other in the whole of the episode 56 of all the other 55 episodes, even ones that have got nothing to do with music or movies. I will talk about this movie. I had to put this as a soundtrack. It's The Greatest Showman. So many times I've talked about The Greatest Showman. There isn't a single, and they're all like original songs. There isn't any songs on there that they've reworked or anything, and every single song on this soundtrack makes me cry like a wuss. Every single one. I don't know why. I still don't know why to this day. And they are just perfect pieces of pop music. Work fantastically well in the movie. And there are so many people in this movie that are just like talented on every level, whether it's singing, dancing, acting, looking great. Zendaya, Zac Efron, Hugh Jackman, they've all got, do you know what I mean? They were at the top of the talent tree and they hit every branch on the way down. There isn't really much more I can say about The Greatest Showman. So, Paul, have you have you watched it? Have you enjoyed it? Has it jumped into your heart as much as it jumped into mine?
I can't say that it has. I haven't seen it, but it's so strange because I've heard a lot of bad things about it. So it's kind of...
In what way?
I don't know, that people are saying it was really boring, or the songs were rubbish, or they just did what a waste of time that was. I don't know. It's just a bit of a... So that's kind of put me off seeing it, honestly. Because it's like, but it's very odd for somebody to say it's fantastic. It's like one of their favourite things. It really sort of intrigues me now, because it's like, okay, well, maybe there's something... I'll give it a chance at some point. Yeah, absolutely. Based on your recommendation of it.
Because one thing, you don't take it as a historical document on the life of P.T. Barnum, because from what I've heard, P.T. Barnum was a bit of a shit. Okay. You know, he wasn't the nicest of people to his if you want to call them employees. So take it that it's not like, oh, this happened and this happened for real, because obviously Hugh Jackman is the star and they want him to be this lovable rogue, if you like.
Sure.
But as a piece of entertainment, as a musical, personally, the first time I watched it, I've said it before on him, I watched it with my arms folded, and my wife, when we came out of the cinema, said, "You didn't like that, did you?" And I said to her, I fucking loved it. I said, I haven't stopped crying for the last hour and a half. And I bought the soundtrack. I watched it again and again. I think we watched it like 3 or 4 times at the cinema. And I cried every single time. And I still, to this day, what year did it come out? Was it 2017, 2016, something like that?
Yeah.
I still watch it now and it brings a lump to my throat. And I don't know why. because again, it is not the greatest acted. It's not the most original of movies, but there's some gold dust that they've sprinkled on it for some reason, and I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. You might watch it and go, well, that was terrible. I'm never going to talk to Pav again because he's wasted like an hour and a half of my life. But Neil, you love it, don't you?
I like it. I'm not as big a fan as you. I don't mind it. I've only seen it a couple of times. That sounds really weird, doesn't it? But film geeks all know the same. You always see film on once. Yeah. The songs are really good. There's some songs I find more catchier than others.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. Yeah,
but I don't mind it at all. It's what I call, and this isn't disrespectful, but it's a Sunday afternoon movie.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's not going to win any Oscars for greatest like performances or anything like that, but it is a perfect movie to put on a Sunday afternoon and just chill and get lost for an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is.
Yeah. And it was also well known for the critics absolutely hating it, but yet it made a shit ton of money.
It did. It
did really well at the cinema. The public love it. They obviously did, didn't they?
Yeah.
And the critics were wrong that time.
But I can remember with the first week, I think it only took something like, it didn't take much in the box office on the first weekend, and everyone was going, it's a bomb. This is going to bomb. And then it stayed in the charts and the cinemas for like weeks and weeks and weeks.
It did. People
kept going back, and I was one of them. Just kept going back.
Maybe that's why a part of the course as well. Like, people were like, there's critics slating it as well. It's like, is that worth really watching? Because I know, like, with either two ways, kind of, the critics rave about it, and then you watch the film and go, what did I just watch? And sometimes it's the other way around, and it's like it's the audience that's speaking. To what's good and what isn't against the critics. So
yeah, I agree.
But I'd watch it definitely. It's worth a watch, and at least you can have your own say on it. Then, can't you? Do you agree with the critics or do you agree with Pav?
Exactly. Yeah. I shall wait for the strongly worded email that we get from you. Right then, Lisa, your number 4 then, please.
So my number 4 is from 1979, Brass in Pocket by the Pretenders.
Oh, great tune.
So I think really Chrissie Hynde, in my opinion, is probably one of the most talented female artists ever. And, she's stunning. Just the lyrics are stunning. The way she performs them are stunning. Every little aspect of this song and all the songs that she sings, I just love. There's nothing that she's done that I didn't like. So, but I wanted to tell you, I looked up a little trivia on her.
Nice.
She also wanted to do some work in the UK. I don't know if you guys know this. And she couldn't get a work permit. And so she asked Johnny Rotten to marry her. So that she'd be able to legally work in the UK. And he said no. But Sid Vicious said yes. So she and Sid Vicious went to the court to get married, and it was closed for a long holiday. And so it never happened. But had it happened, it would be a whole different story now.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is very cool.
Because she did go on to marry Jim Kerr, didn't she, from Simple Minds?
She did.
Yes.
Well, obviously a few years after, but she was one of the ladies I can remember watching. What year was this? 79, you said?
79, yes. 79.
Yeah, so I would have been 10. I can remember watching her on Top of the Pops and then finding out that she was American and thought how glamorous she was because she was American.
Yeah.
You know, because at that age, it was like if you watched something on TV, like the streets of San Francisco or Starsky and Hutch, it was glamorous because, wow, that's America. We're watching America on the TV. And it was like it was a different planet because you heard all about these amazing things about like Disneyland and Hollywood. And whenever you saw, well, this is speaking personally, if I ever saw a glimpse of America on the TV, you would always go, oh my God, look at that place. Amazing. You know, it's like it's a different world. And I still feel like that sometimes when you get to go over there, you think, oh, this is America. Where I'm sure people in America are going, this goddamn country.
Well, I mean, I happen to feel like I live in one of the best states, you know, and certainly Californians are controversial if you go anywhere else in the United States, with the exception of, you know, West Coast and New York. But, you know, it's just such an attitude here that's just so, it's great. It's like, you know, we've got all this nature and we've got all these people anxious to conserve and all these people anxious to be fit and all these things, you know, and it's just kind of got this just really good energy, a great vibe.
Yeah.
So I get it, Bob. I get it. I still love living in California, and my whole family has moved away. I'm the only one living in Southern California still. So, but I love it here. I don't think I'm going anywhere else. But one of the other things that I learned about the Pretenders that I didn't know was that one of the founding band members, was Peter Frampton.
Really? Well, there you go. There's a fact for you.
There's another fact.
You're full of these amazing facts, Lisa. Neil, you're going to be close to be out of a job here. I'm telling you.
I honourably hand over my cap because that's an ace fact.
That's fantastic. I mean, some people come here with their top 10 written on a bit of paper and that's it. Lisa there has got, look at the reams and reams of facts there. This is, I mean, that's worth a ding on the bell. If anything is. That's
reams and reams.
Reams and reams. Fantastic.
That's what happens when you give me 30 days to come up with a list of 10 things.
Well, next time we're going to give you 60 days, and I'm expecting like a complete like documentary ready to play.
A complete compendium, yeah.
Fantastic. Go on then, Neil. You're number 4.
So another Clash song is going to hit it. I'm going to go with the everyday popular single, London Calling. I think it's Clash at their best. I know it's a well-known song and there's loads of others to choose from, but I don't think this is dated. This shows them in their prime. It shows them exactly what they did. And it's great to see their evolution into different songs and styles that they went through. And Joe Strummer, I think, was a great frontman. Often, and like I said before, the Clash seem to have been forgotten. Joe Strummer certainly is forgotten. He died in, 2002, young, with a heart attack, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know why his career sort of well, he might not have nosedived, but to me it did a little bit. He ended up being the front man for the Pogues for a little bit. And
good fact, Neil. Well done.
There you go. I've come in with another one. I was
fighting back, Lisa. He's fighting back.
I always thought it was a bit of a bizarre choice, but I think Joe Strummer is was one of the coolest dudes that ever graced. I used to think that guy was so cool. The way he played on stage, he was a great entertainer, and we forget how good he was at what he did.
Yeah,
and wrote great songs.
Yeah.
So was he the actual songwriter of the Clash, or was it like
he wrote a lot of the lyrics.
Collaboration? Or
there were collaborations. He wrote a lot. He was primarily the lyric writer, I believe.
Oh right.
Yeah. So, and he was instrumental on changing their sound, taking them to do different ways and places to play and things like that. So, yeah, I don't think they get the credit nowadays that they honestly deserve. Because they sort of picked up where the Sex Pistols left. I know they were around at the same time and everything, but they sort of picked up where the Sex Pistols left off and sort of changed punk a little bit and made it more accessible to everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. Sex Pistols were a hard act to follow. And definitely Clash kind of mainstreamed it a little bit.
They really did, yeah.
I think their songs were a lot more accessible than
easily, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I would highly recommend the Greatest Hits. I think you might be.
I will. I'll add it to the list, Neil. I'll add it to the list. I would come up with an amazing fact, but I've got absolutely nothing, so I can't. For
your number 4, Pav, give us a fact.
Well, my number 4 is somebody that has had a massive resurgence this year due to a particular TV series, and it's not that song, but it's Kate Bush and Wuthering Heights.
Oh yeah,
this very, very closely was going to be in my top 10 of songs that make me cry. I love Kate Bush, and I think not just musically, but I think she's absolutely gorgeous.
I'm with you on that one as well, pal.
And there's some people that say she's very scary because she always has her eyes like wide open and stuff like that. But you see her in that, is it the Babushka video where she's got like this warrior outfit on? Goodness me. I mean, you can nearly see everything. It's crazy. It's like nearly all hanging out in that costume. So I've heard. Not that I've watched the video myself. I would pretend that I've never seen it. But this song has got one of the most beautiful choruses, and for some reason it's the bass that just gets me. It's got a beautiful bass line, and then also the guitar solo at the end as it goes on. But it's a beautiful song. It had to be in my top 10. It probably should be a little bit higher, but then with the songs that I've got above it, it just made it number 4.
Next week it could change.
It could change.
Absolutely. But Kate Bush had probably one of the most unique female voices ever. Yeah. And I don't think it's ever been replicated. The songs, they were a bit Marmite, weren't they? Some people really don't like it and some people love it. I'm in the camp of loving it. And also, forgetting how talented she really was. That The Man with the Child in His Eyes, she wrote when she was 14. People don't forget all of this, and that's such a beautiful song.
And I do feel that she is almost like she is the female Peter Gabriel. I think that's why they both work so well when they work together.
Yeah,
I think they've got the same.
Dave Gilmour, wasn't it, from Pink Floyd, that discovered Kate Bush?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, it's beautiful.
She's getting so much recognition because of Stranger Things, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're running up that hill. Yeah. Have you seen Stranger Things, Lisa?
I've watched the first season. I haven't ever started the rest.
Right. Okay.
I still have to watch the new ones.
Have you not? I would recommend.
And admit that I haven't watched Game of Thrones either, and I just started it last week.
Really?
And, I'm in season 4, episode 9. I'm like 4 hours a day of the Game of Thrones. It's killing me.
So what is there? Is there 6 seasons? I think. Is it 6 seasons of Game of Thrones?
Wasn't it 8?
Was it 8?
Oh, no.
Well, we need to have a conversation when you finish the final episodes, Lisa. That's all I want. I want to know what your feelings are on the final episodes. I won't say anything. I'll just be interested.
The rate I'm going, it'll be tomorrow. So
it probably will. So, Em, we need your number 3 then, please.
Okay. So this was particularly hard because this is a trilogy of movies, and I assumed I couldn't use the whole trilogy as an entity. So I had to pick one out of the trilogy. And I've chosen as my number 3, John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum.
Oh, okay.
Now, there's a reason why I didn't choose John Wick, and I feel like I need to explain myself. Now, John Wick was obviously the catalyst for this amazing comeback. I love John Wick, and I love John Wick Chapter 2. But the reason why I picked Parabellum over the other 2 is, first of all, I feel like if you're going to pick one out of the other 2, you pick John Wick. But there's a specific scene in John Wick that I simply cannot watch. And I've never been able to watch it. I watched it for the first time and I cried for 20 minutes. So I have seen the movie since, but I have to fast forward that particular scene just because it upsets me so much. It didn't help at the time that I watched it. I just lost one of my cats. One of my cats had just died.
Right. That would do
and
it.
So I was bawling for 20 minutes, guys. Like I was sobbing when that thing happened in that movie. So that's the reason why I couldn't choose the first John Wick, even though it's really important. But to me, like John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum is, they know at this point what the John Wick name means. And they are like, we are just going to go completely batshit crazy in this movie. We are going to put everything in this movie. We're going to do these amazing stunts. We're going to bring Halle Berry and some dogs into this movie. And you're going to fucking love it. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like literally lapping this shit up. Like, this is amazing. It's beautiful. It's got these beautiful shots with like this neon lighting. Oh, I bloody love John Wick 3. It's my jam. Okay. It's like they were making a movie just for me.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it.
It's just, it's unapologetic, isn't it? It is, we're going to throw everything at you and you're just going to sit there and enjoy it.
And it's like, when they did John Wick, they didn't expect to make a franchise out of it.
No.
But I feel like they've built the world organically enough. So you have all of this like backstory about where he came from and, this organization and all of that stuff. But I mean, Halle Berry is awesome. I love her anyway. But those dogs, amazing stunt work with those dogs. And as I keep coming back to practical effects, it's just so much fun, and it's super violent.
Yeah,
and I'm not usually a huge fan of super violence, but it's almost cartoony kind of violence, and I just really dig him as John Wick. And I wish I could have chosen all three, but I felt like I didn't want the whole top 10 to be like John Wick 1, John Wick 2, John Wick 3.
That's what I thought it might be. I thought we were going to have like the Matrix and the other Matrix movie. I think it was going to be like
just like loads of franchises.
Two or three franchises, and that was going to be it. Yeah,
but I wanted to pick one of them, and I was like, that's the one that always sticks in my mind the most.
Right.
For just being so bombastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had to be John Wick 3.
Cool. That's wonderful. Neil, you had Speed at number 3.
I did.
I had Point Break at number 3. So we're now, Tim, at your number 2, please.
Right, number 2. I've gone for a classic. A classic, I like to think, that brings together many styles of comedy, many different types of humour. Some very old school and some very nostalgic and vintage, but I've gone for Dick Dastardly. My number 2 from Wacky Races. The moustache itself, yes, it's a handlebar, I hear you cry. Of course it is. But it is also also known as the Englishman. That idea, I don't know why, it's the most un-English thing I've ever seen. Anything that kind of comes straight off of this kind of angle. Yeah. And apparently that's how the world used to see us. There's this, maybe it's because we were sneaky or something not to be trusted. But the Dick Dastardly character is an old vaudevillian style of comedy, that idea, that quite sort of one-dimensional, lady tiled on the rail track.
Silent movie kind of villain.
Silent movie, exactly. And it's an amalgam. And then Hanna-Barbera used that model on lots of other different style of cartoons. So Dick Dastardly appears in 2 other versions of him, and there's one where he's called Whiplash. So I was like, that's a strange name. I wonder why he's called that. And apparently a whiplash in vaudevillian terminology is a villain.
Right.
So he was called Whiplash something, I can't remember what it was, but it also plays into like Marvel have a character who's evil called Whiplash, and so they're all kind of tied together, is that this kind of evil characters are called whiplashes, because maybe they just kind of come in, they do the thing that kind of disturbs everything and then leave. But his style is it's phenomenal. You instantly know. It's one of those instantly recognizable images, moustaches, and you go, yes, that's the guy. He's obviously evil. He looks English. He sounds English. He has the English moustache that obviously comes off in that very English way that all Englishmen in the early 20th century wear, where it goes, and I don't even know where that has come from. Like literally, I was Googling it, looking at it, going, there must be a reason why that moustache is called the Englishman. But I have never even seen like a ye olde picture of someone ever with an English moustache that comes out in that way. It's such a peculiar thing. But there we go.
But it is weird, because that is like you think of the old black and white silent movies, like you say, with the woman on the tracks, and the twizzling of the moustache was always but that's weird. It's called the Englishman. Yeah, very strange.
With a kind of cigarette on a little kind of holder.
Yes.
And a top hat, or maybe a cloak. They're not together. Maybe that's a fire hazard, but,
maybe a monocle as well. You have the monocle.
Oh, all of that. You see, all of that.
See, there's another Halloween costume. That is, isn't it? That's the Englishman. Right, Neil, your number 2 was Tom Selleck.
Good old Tom.
With his chevron. I made my notes there, so I got that one. My number 2 is Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. So Nick Offerman, another one who's very good at growing any kind of facial hair. He's a very impressive, great head of hair as well. But the one thing is, it's like you said, Tim, about Stephen Toast. The moustache is part of that character's makeup, if you like. So that's part of his costume, is this strong, thick, like a broom moustache. So is that a walrus moustache?
That's a walrus.
Is it?
That's
wow, I'm getting good at this.
Straight down the line walrus. My God, man. That's it. You're going to know what to ask for in the barbers come Monday.
I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to the exam after this this little bit of stuff that we've been sorting out. But yeah, I think Nick Offerman is fantastic. Anybody that has, Neil, have you seen Parks and Rec?
I told you a few months ago, I've only just, I'm a new convert to it. Right. So I'm only on to the second series at the moment. But
right. I
am enjoying it.
I've seen the whole thing. Yeah, and he's brilliant. It just, that moustache kind of frames his face in that kind of stern, unmoving, it's got to be breakfast foods.
Yeah.
Kind of just sense of sort of irritation at the world and just kind of annoyance that things aren't the way they should be. But that moustache gives him that. As much as it opens up Ned Flanders is friendly, it gives Swanson that air of don't even come near me. Don't come near me. Don't talk to me. Don't even bother me.
Yeah. Just give me steak and whiskey and a cigar and I'm happy. That's all he wants in life, to keep himself happy. Robyn, to finish us off then, you're 99, please.
Well, I'm going to go with my rock, or the mainstream rock one, which is going to be What It's Like by Everlast. Did you guys have that song?
I think we did. I don't think it charted very high.
It was only 1 week here. So it was February 13th. It was 1 week at number one. But the backup was Believe by Cher, which...
that's a good song. That's good. So who is this by? Sorry, What's It Like? It was by...
Everlast.
Everlast, okay.
Yeah. And it was only just 1 week, but out of the two lists that I had, that was
the better song.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at the end of the decade, obviously, and obviously the 2000s started in not a good way. I've also had 9/11 happened in 2001, wasn't it? Which as we're recording this, it's been the anniversary.
Yep, exactly.
It almost feels like it was a very before and after that kind of moment in regards to sort of music. I mean, I've always said, come the 2000s, I tended to lose track of what was going on musically. Don't know whether it's just my age, or the fact that I like things that I like, whereas before, I mean, I can remember with the Fast Love single, I bought the CD single and I was going to try and buy every CD single that got to number one after that. And I think I lasted about 4 weeks and then I just didn't bother anymore.
Yeah.
But like Neil said earlier on, the charts meant something, I think, sort of definitely in the 90s. Now I don't think...
I don't think it means anything, really. Especially not in this country. We don't even have, a TV program dedicated to it.
No.
At all, And what chart is it? Is it the iTunes chart? Is it the streaming chart? Is it the other chart? I mean, there's just a chart for everything.
Yeah.
So how long was this number one for?
Just 1 week.
Just 1 week?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I was just looking to see. I mean, I've never heard that song before. So that one and obviously the Silverchair one. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, how do you talk to an angel?
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely have a little listen to those, because that sounds like it's got a nice.
If you watch the video for How Do You Talk to an Angel, Jamie's a good eye piece of candy.
Is he?
Gorgeous.
Have sold.
I'm gonna go and watch it now. Okay,
I wonder what he's up to these days.
Yeah, well, drop him a message. You never know. Maybe to play the Prince song.
There you go.
No,
you see, he should be playing that to Robyn.
That is
the other way.
Oh, there you go. I mean, he is just. He's 53.
Is he? Sorry. That's a good age. How's he looking for 53?
Well, in this, he was all right.
All right.
you know,
They,
I mean, he's married, but spouses.
Oh dear, I know, what a drag. What a
right?
Indeed.
God.
Go on then, Neil.
Everybody gets a hall pass, don't they? Everybody gets a hall pass.
Yeah, especially if they're rich
I
and
wouldn't
famous.
use it on him.
Oh, right. Okay. So we've opened up that line of questioning then. So who would you open your...
No, that has to be a top 10.
Yeah, who would you... your 10 hall passes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Robin? I have to say Donnie Wahlberg. I do have to say Donnie. Because he's just always been... I mean, I went to Girl Scout camp and I had I Heart Donnie on my face. I mean...
That's fair enough.
Boy.
Pav was he had the same when he went to Cub Scout camp. He had I Heart Donnie, but it was Donny Osmond.
I wouldn't blame you.
Right then, Neil, your 1999, please.
So we talked about songs with great videos. This video is phenomenal. It's Fatboy Slim, Praise You. Mm-hmm. It's a great song. It does what it says on the tin. I think Fatboy Slim was a bit of the master of the mixing, wasn't he? He was the Calvin Harris of his day, and yeah, I think. I still think he's brilliant now. And have you seen the documentary Trainwreck, the Woodstock one yet?
Oh yes.
Isn't it scary what was going on when he was trying to play? And obviously had to leave quickly, but
and you know what's sad is I wanted to go because that was the year I graduated high school.
Right.
And my parents were like, there's no way you're going. And I opted to go to Australia instead, to go on tour with Silverchair for 3 weeks. So I think I got the better of
You got the better deal for sure.
Yeah. We just watched that and the stuff that was going on was mind-blowing.
It's crazy, wasn't it?
It's insane that like all of that stuff was taking place and people... There was another artist... it was Fatboy Slim, who had to come in and he had to stop in the middle or towards the end of his set, didn't he? And he had to get
in the middle, somebody drove the first time somebody drove the van in, didn't they? The rave.
Wasn't that the ambulance or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and wasn't he like upset about it? And then he was like, oh, okay, no, I get it. Like why you had to take me out. Cause he didn't really realize what was happening, but it's just, Pop, have you seen that? The Trainwreck?
I've seen the first episode, so I'm just one episode in at the moment. But I didn't even realize there was a Woodstock in 1999.
Oh, I remember it.
Really?
I couldn't. I had no remembrance of it at all. It was shocking. That first episode was shocking.
Well, you wait, it gets even more shocking.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so glad I didn't go, but I think because there was so much in 99, because you got to remember Columbine happened too. So
that's right.
Columbine, then it was I graduated, and then it was like, oh, I want to go to Woodstock. And then it was like, I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad that my parents said no. I went to Australia for 3 weeks, and that was much better by far.
Well, we're glad you didn't go as well, Robbie.
Yeah,
it was. I've seen.
But some of those people that they had on the interviews, like, I mean, even they were like, oh, like the one guy thought it was all cool, and I'm like, why did you think that was?
And that one woman said, the interview, it's not a spoiler, Pabs, don't worry. They said to her, if it was to do it again, would you? Would you?
I could not believe her answer. I was like,
straight away she went, yes.
Yeah.
And I guess to say you were there, but it's like. I mean, when they had Korn on, woo.
That was the first episode, wasn't it? That was a bit It didn't look like it was all peace and love, that was for sure.
Yeah. Wait till the end, buddy.
Yeah,
Enjoy a ride.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that then. Right then, just to round things off then, my number one from 1999, there was one of the little clips on it, and it's Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz.
Okay.
Now, I always felt that Lenny Kravitz wasn't as big a star as he should have been. Now, I know he was quite big in the late 90s or mid 90s. But for somebody that was again, another one of these multi-instrumentalists, a great songwriter, he just didn't seem to hit that massive sort of level.
Well, I don't think in our country, in the UK, he didn't. But I thought he did in America. He was quite.
Was he?
I was going to say he did pretty well here.
Yeah,
right.
There was another song he had that I just didn't like, and it was on repeat. It's kind of like, you guys know what K-Rock is in LA, the radio station?
Yeah.
So you're aware that they played Red Hot Chili Peppers every other song, right? So that's how it was for Lenny Kravitz back then. It was fed too much to me that I was like, okay, enough. Like I'm done. Like same thing with Santana. Oh, Santana and Rob Thomas, I think.
Oh,
when they
yeah.
had that Smooth song. Oh, God. It was constantly happening. And I was just like, I can't handle if I hear that one more time. So I think that's what happened with Lenny for me. But he definitely was big over here, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. I think that was his only number one over here, I think. It was only number one for 1 week as well.
He did the song for Austin Powers as well, didn't it? Was it American Woman or whatever he did for Austin Powers?
Oh, right, okay.
Spy Shag Me film,
Yeah, and there are a couple of other of his songs, but I honestly can't remember them. There's, I think, the one that you're talking about, Robin, there's one that they played to death over here. I can't believe.
Was it Lenny Kravitz song?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, and it's bugging me a little bit now. There was one about love. I know that there was.
There was
Let Love Flow or something like that. It was called something like that. The one that was
It Ain't Over Till It's Over. Are You Going to Go My Way? Oh God, that one.
Are You Going to Go My Way? Yeah, It
That
Ain't
one
Over
was
Till It's Over.
Yeah.
That was one of the. That was a very, very good song.
And then they had American Woman.
Yeah, that's the one from Austin Powers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there you go. That's the decade done. That's the decade done. Let me go through some of these honorable mentions. Nikki Dennis says Ace of Base, The Sign in 94. Ricky Martin, Livin' La Vida Loca in 99. Since I was in England for part of the 90s, I'm also going to go with Queen, Innuendo in 91, and Oasis, Don't Look Back in Anger, March 96. Lisa Buchanan says Losing My Religion, REM 91, Black Hole Sun, Soundgarden in 94, Iris, Goo Goo Dolls 98, and my guilty pleasure, Mbop Hansen 97. You don't need to be guilty about it, Lisa. You're in wonderful company here with everybody. And she does say, I obviously feel safe here, so you don't have to be guilty about that at all. At And Why Not Pod said, as we're a movie pod, here's our picks from 13 90s movie number ones. Turtle Power, Partners in Crime, Men in Black, Will Smith, Deeper Underground, Jamiroquai, Gangster's Paradise, Coolio, Everything I Do For You, Bryan Adams, Show Me Heaven, Maria McKee, I Will Always Love You, Whitney Houston, I Can't Help Falling in Love with You, UB40, Turn Back Time, Aqua, not sure what movie that was from. When You Say Nothing at All, Ronan Keating. We'll leave it to you to put the films to the songs. And for the others, and for those wondering what the other three 90s number one movies are, it was Unchained Melody, Righteous Brothers, Shoop Shoop Song, and My Heart Will Go On. Janine Bender says, I can't wait to hear this. Nothing Compares to You, 1990. That was close to my one of my choices as well without that. At Token Nerd said in no particular order, Killer, Adamski, Nothing Compares to You, Sinead O'Connor, Dizzy, Vic Reeves and the Wonder Stuff, Bohemian Rhapsody, These Are the Days of Our Lives, with Queen. Stay, Shakespeare's Sister, Inside by Stiltskin, Breathe, Prodigy, Fast Love, George Michael, Boom Boom, Shake Shake the Room, Jazzy Jeff and the Could I sound more English when I did that?
Boom Boom. Not even like Basil Brush.
Shake Shake the Room, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and Never Forget, Take That. The wife will be livid if I don't pick a Take That song, and there's no way I'm picking Babe. Plus this one is kind of great. It's weird how many great songs didn't actually get to number one. Amanda Holmes says Easy Dream Lover by Miss Christmas herself, Mariah Carey. And Michelle Hawley said The Power of Love by Celine Dion, California Love by Tupac, Baby One More Time by Britney, It Must Have Been Love by Roxette, Fantasy by Mariah, I Will Always Love You by Whitney. So many great, even if a bit campy songs. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much.
So much for your feedback on that.
Now,
Robin.
I have a question.
Oh, wonderful.
Is that Boom Boom, what was it again? Boom Boom Shake the Room?
Yeah.
Is that a song in the bedroom, Neil, or is that not in the bedroom? I'm not really sure where that went.
I'll answer that question off air, Robin. It all depends on the action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just boom, shake the room.
Oh, okay, got it.